everybody. My name is Katie Ploss, and I'm a therapist at Galvin Growth Group. And I'm joined today by my colleague, Christina DeGrand. And we are going to ask her a few questions to get to know her a little bit better. Thanks for being here today with me, Christina.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Christina is new to our G3 team as a speech and language pathologist. So I'm going to ask her some questions about what a speech pathologist does and what services she provides here at G3. So, Christina, let's start with talking about evaluations. Do you do speech and language evaluations? And if so, what do they look like? And what are the advantages to having a speech and language evaluation done?
Well, a lot of times children who have a language impairment or an expressive or receptive language delay will have a hard time in class. For example, a receptive language delay will make it difficult for a child to be able to understand what's going on in the classroom, being able to comprehend what they have heard, or be able to comprehend what they've read. An expressive language impairment will affect the child in that they may not be able to communicate effectively. They may not be able to express their thoughts or have the vocabulary knowledge to understand what they've read. We also have difficulties with articulation, which will affect the student or child in the classroom because their peers may not be able to understand them. They may actually spell the way they think the words sound. So if they're mispronouncing them, they may also misspell words. So a language evaluation will determine whether or not we need to address the language impairment or a speech impairment.
Oh, awesome. Great information. So what age ranges do you typically work with?
My experience mostly lies with children between the age of 8 to 10. I also have experience with the older grade levels. But mostly that's where my experience lies, not as much in the younger ages.
So are you typically working with children that have existing language delays at those ages, or are you diagnosing them typically?
Both. I see them as part of the evaluation to determine whether or not they need speech and language services. And then if they do warrant those services, I do the treatment as well.
So speaking of treatment, what types of skills do you work on in speech and language therapy?
Speech and language. If they have an expressive language delay, we will work on things like increasing their vocabulary skills, being able to sequentially speak in sentences, have coherent thoughts. Receptive language is the understanding of language. So in that case, we would maybe work on them understanding what is being said in the classroom, understanding what they have read or heard, and just processing the information. For articulation skills, that might be a sound. So sometimes parents get language and speech confused, but language is basically us being able to express or understand language. Speech is our ability to speak and have good pronunciation and articulation of sounds. So for an articulation evaluation, we would look to see if the student is correctly producing all the sounds in speech. And if they need remediation in that, we would address those sounds individually.
Awesome. And how would a parent determine if they think that their child would benefit from speech and language therapy?
Typically, they may see the child have difficulty in the classroom. They may not be able to understand what has been said. They may have a hard time expressing what they have learned. Writing things down, expressing their thoughts on paper. If they have an articulation delay, the teachers or their peers may have a difficult time understanding what they're saying without them having to repeat themselves.
Awesome. Well, thank you for all this great information about speech and language therapy and speech and language-based evaluations. If you are thinking that your child may benefit from a speech and language evaluation or therapy, head over to our contact tab on galvingrowthgroup.com, and you can fill out a contact form and specifically list Christina in your practitioner. I think that's like practitioner request, and we will respond to you within 24 to 48 hours. Thanks again for being here today, Christina.
Thanks.